Yeah.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order at 8:04 p.m. Do roll call first.
Let me just connect myself. In case I have to share my screen here. Roll call. Michael Diven. Here. Andrew Grove.
Here.
Stacy Hill.
Here.
Tom Langston. Shirley McElhatton. Kristen Reisinger.
Here.
Barry Ressler. Amanda Rost.
Here.
Ian Smith.
Here.
Stefan Strautmeyer. Okay. Good.
All right, do we have any citizens comments? Do not have any citizens here, so we will move on. All right, then next we have the approval of the September 7th meeting minutes, which are attached in our packet. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I will motion.
In a second. Ian, you want a second?
Second.
Just because it's easier because you're here. All right. All right, moving on to the commissioner report. Mindy couldn't be here tonight. I think she said it was her birthday today and she had other plans.
No
excuses.
She said she was going to send her report ahead. Did she send anything to you, David?
I do not believe so.
Okay, I didn't get anything either.
It's her birthday.
It's her birthday.
Let's give her a break.
Yeah, she said she was going to send something, but she
I've
didn't.
celebrated that before. That's good on you.
Okay, then we'll move on from that. Next, we have Chris Frenny here from the MLSA to talk to us about the Jefferson futsal court. This is one of the a little history for, I'm not sure who was here when this started originally. I think they tried to put in a similar court at Brafferton and that got denied despite our support. So we were interested in talking to the MLSA about how they were able to accomplish getting the court up and how it's going. So he's going to tell us a little bit about the process and then we can open it up to some questions and learn about this. This is one of the things in our field study census that we are talking about a little bit later. One of the ideas for improving our current facilities to increase field capacity. So we're very interested in what Chris has to say. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Yes.
Yeah, happy to be here. So yeah, as Amanda mentioned, this is like our second or third bite at the apple on getting a futsal court. The last one that failed that I was involved in was Brafferton, and basically it fell apart because, you know, everybody's concerned about insurance and liability and those types of things. And it didn't materialize. We were going to pay for it. We ended up paying for it at Jefferson. What happened was Don Grogan came to Tim Defeo after Brafferton fell through and said, you know, could we do this at one of the schools? And he was mostly interested in Jefferson at the time because of the space that was available. We thought that was a good idea. We took it to our board and it was, you know, unanimous again, like, let's do this. We took a very long time to negotiate the contract with the school district because it's the same thing. So basically, we have some protections in there that if they move it within the first 5 years, they have to find us a new place to put it. They have to pay for us to move it there. But beyond that, we really don't have any commitments for like a long-term, you know, lease or anything like that. It is, you know, during the fall and spring seasons, we have sort of right of first refusal to use the space after 5 p.m. So the school has it obviously during the day. but yeah, like I said, right of first refusal on weeknights, and then we can use it on the weekends again, sort of right of first refusal. It's not really a permitted thing.
Well, that's
It's not
that
part
was
of
one
that,
of
it's
our
not part of that
questions.
process yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it might end up being there, but it's gonna sort of be.
It's gonna take someone to call and say, can I
Right,
use the space? And they say, well, we have to check with
right.
MLSA, and then it's
Right.
gonna.
And I think, right now, our teams aren't using it too much, although we have had coaches use it, especially on like rainy days, and they're supposed to be at Foster, Jefferson even. And like, well, let's just go up there and tell the kids to put on their tennis shoes instead of their cleats and have practice. So, but I talked to people tonight at the Peters Township soccer game, saying that their kids are there like every Monday, either, I don't know if that's part of Lebo Cup or what, but it's getting used.
I see kids on it all the time driving by. Every night, I feel like somebody's on it, and
Yeah.
whether it's free play or organized.
And we don't even have it like completely equipped yet, because there's like futsal specific goals that are gonna be put in there. We're working on replacing, and part of a larger effort to replace our goals at Jefferson as well, those old flimsy ones that you see down there. But yeah, so that's the crux of it. The money came from the endowment fund, which a lot of the clubs contribute to. Years and years ago, we were gifted property down on Connor, and we sold that. The soccer association was by a former president of that land down on Connor. It's like 2 acres or something like that. But or maybe more. The idea was to turn it into a field, but it's so wet down there, and to, like, take down the trees, and then you would have to fight the people whose homes are within, a driver or two. We decided it wasn't worth it. And again, this is before my tenure on the board. So that's the money that we initially put into the endowment, which you guys may know we can withdraw that for capital projects. We'd never withdrawn money for anything beyond maybe some goals in the past. So most of that money's still in there. We've contributed money over time. Like at the end of the year, if we have a surplus, we will put that into the endowment, because one, it's not sitting in PNC, and two, we get, we know that we have that sort of as a rainy day fund for those capital improvements. So that's where it came from. Again, fully funded by MLSA. And we're sort of in a wait and see mode, because we want to, one, see how it's used, and for all reports it's being used. Two, that make sure that the school is happy with the arrangement that we have. But we've definitely had conversations on the board about doing it again. And really the question comes down to, do you do it sort of, I don't know if it would be Foster or Howe, the farthest away, or do you put another one maybe at Jefferson and have it become like a destination place where kids know there's always, like, go down to Main Park, there are several tennis courts, there's several basketball courts and things like that. You make it a bit of a destination for people who want to play futsal. But that's probably not our decision, first of all. This came from Grogan where he wanted to put it, so.
How are and it's early on, the goals, how are they holding up, I guess? And you said they were temporary, but
so far,
one concern I have is just knowing from other organizations that leave goals anywhere.
Yeah.
They get beat up if they're not locked up. So.
Yeah, and that's difficult to do. There's not really that space, and there's not a job box that you can, once those things are installed, they can't be moved. They're heavy. It's almost like a lacrosse goal. Like you would just want to go and pick it up and put it in so it's not something we worry about it being taken away necessarily. But yeah, the wear and tear is something that we'll
have to keep
Do you have that, obviously, in whatever agreement, like that is gonna fall on soccer association to maintain it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Chris, when you said it came from the endowment, do you mean the Mount Lebanon Community Foundation?
No, the MLSA has their own endowment.
Well, no, it's part of a larger endowment with all the sports. A lot of what sports programs put money into it. So I know baseball, I think, has money in there. I know lacrosse does.
I didn't know.
How much money does baseball have in?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either.
Maybe not.
Is it with the Mount Lebanon
About-
Community Foundation?
It is,
Okay.
it is part of
I
that.
know.
And so it wasn't a grant, it's some agreement where you're able to draw on those funds.
We're able to draw on those funds. If it's not capital, up to 4% per year, we've never done that. And then we're allowed to take as much out as we want of what we've put in and what has grown through the investments. Like, we have a separate
You have a
siloed
piece of the
account.
pie.
We have a
You can take
separate
out your own
siloed,
piece of the pie.
exactly. We can't take out any more than what, you know, our piece of it is, but they can use it to get, I guess, better. You know,
I wonder if that was set up when, they used to pay, like, there used to be, what was it called?
The first, the try at the Slebo Sports, whatever, coalition, whatever the name was.
I don't remember. Yeah.
When they were hoping to pay for the turf, weren't they?
That's who, originally, the
It comes back to the turf.
community, Mount Lebanon Community Foundation was, I think, called Mount Lebanon Community Endowment or something along those lines.
Yeah.
You're working with Audrey Bodie, though, is my guess, right?
Rick Larrick has been my point of contact over there, which is sort of on the money management side. So
Okay.
I know both of those people, so I can.
I know, I'd be highly
Yeah.
intrigued.
but yeah, so that money is, I think we're gonna exclusively use it for projects like this. You know, if I will tell you that because you mentioned the turf, the cedar turf. It's interesting because the board turns over, like I've been there 7 or 8 years now. And I used to be the young guy and now not. And
I know that
there
feeling.
was a lot of unhappiness with the money that MLSA contributed to Cedar for how much time we get on the turf. And I think sort of with people leaving that maybe that's, you know,
The memory goes
the
with
memory goes with it, so people would be a little bit more open to it, but that's definitely been a point of contention in the past, where it's like we put in as much or more than anybody, and you know, we get it one night a week if we're lucky. So
The couple questions about like, are you comfortable sharing like a square foot price?
the price was 29,000. I'm not sure exactly what the square footage of it is.
I have that.
Yeah.
I measured it already.
Yeah, so it's $29,000 installed.
Okay,
The nice thing about the product is, like, if something breaks, we have extra tiles. It's pop out.
Put a new one in.
Yeah,
and then did they do anything, what did they do to the surface below? Cause looking at, I just went around the community as part of this other project. Measured some stuff, looked at some surfaces, that none of this blacktop surface that we're talking about in any of these schools is in any great condition.
Right.
It's all
There was
cracks,
some, there
all
was
of
some
that stuff.
prep
So
done,
do
but
they do some prep
there
or?
was some prep work done, but it was really,
Probably just a level.
yeah,
Like
de
you
minimis,
would with
like,
And how about for drainage too? So like at Howe, there's it's a huge space, huge. But there's drains that would cause, you know, is it allowed, can it be installed in
that I don't know.
at an angle, like to feed those
I
different
don't think you
drains
would want
throughout?
it to be installed at an angle, but you maybe could prop it up, like put something so that, because they will drain, it's permeable, like it's just little small squares. So
You could
if
do something to cover the drains to make it flat and it
Yeah,
would
flatten it
continue to
above
go
it,
through
so
there.
that the water would just flow to the drains, because I mean, that would be even probably better than what we have at Jefferson.
Yeah.
If you can find something sturdy enough and stable enough.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good and interesting, but I actually talked just I actually called Tim this weekend, Tim DeFeo.
Yeah.
Just on something else, and he had told me that maybe you don't know this yet, but that like somebody cut the nets at that facility. And it just goes back to our ongoing conversation about
Vandalism.
the kids and just the opportunistic issues. That's why I was asking about.
Yeah,
Have you thought about what are you gonna do when things are
Well,
damaged and
We're just gonna do like the basketball courts, we'll just put in those like iron nets or something. That's like.
yeah, right. No, it's just part of the game. It's part of the game that we play, I think, in terms of when you make things accessible, which I'm all for and you want to do, but it does cost a significant, it adds a significant cost to whatever project you're doing, because and then you have to have somebody managing that and being observant of that, because then somebody cuts all the nets down on your goals and then you go to use it and you can't use it, then what have you paid for? So
It's, the goals themselves are expensive, like the frames, because they have to be of a certain weight, and they also have to be, you can't tip them over and be like a hazard to fall on it, like it. The nets themselves aren't that bad, so that doesn't bother me as much as if something were to happen to the track.
Then the actual structure.
Yeah, I'm just,
No, I hear you. It's
anything you do,
and we're reliant
you're open to that.
We're relying on the schools to let us know, or like, unfortunately, I still have a kid there,
Well-
so she'll tell me.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. I have a kid there as well, and it's like this school. I get that the maintenance is on you guys. That's the agreement you came up with, but moving forward, if the school's using it every day at recess, that's wear and tear that shouldn't necessarily be responsible for. So and you don't know where the wear and tear is
Well,
gonna
I mean,
occur.
it depends on what your value is, like,
Yeah.
It's the bandage.
if you're getting value out of using it outside of that, and then it allows you to use the space by allowing other groups to use it, then that's value.
Yeah.
And you'll put the money in to replace things that are used.
Right. When I think going forward,
And that space is perfect. As you're talking there, I'm recalling how kind of unused that space is, because with the baseball group, we would tell, early in this April, and when you don't know, the weather's terrible and you can't get on fields, we would tell coaches to take your team up there.
Yeah.
To that blacktop area.
Yep.
To do some activities, because it was, one, not widely used, and then two, if it was wet, I mean, it was just blacktop, so so that's good. So now we can't do that, but no, I'm just kidding.
there's still half of it to go. There's a whole,
Not at all.
whole second
You
one
still
right
could do
next to it. Right next to it, and you have the basketball court on.
But
by
yeah,
the
that just goes
fence.
to
Yeah.
the point that it was a good choice, I feel, because it was an underutilized space, so.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's selected. So awesome.
And I mean, there are many, Hoover has I measured Hoover basketball court because it's fenced in. And for other sports, and I don't know, Chris, if you've thought about other sports would be, if they do another one of these, you've got field hockey that has an indoor component that is played on a surface similar to that indoor in the winter. That's a different game, but it's like futsal, and then it helps with their stick skills and other things.
And
Lacrosse would do stick skills on that. Baseball could use it or softball would use it when the fields are wet. Like there's so many sports that would use it. I think fenced in tighter, like like the Jefferson basketball court, the Hoover basketball court, the Howe basketball courts, those all have like a tall fence all the way around. So balls and such are not going to be lost, because the field hockey balls are not fun to get hit with.
No.
Lacrosse balls are not fun to get hit with. So those are all great spaces that have opportunities for this kind of surface. And then it's just a matter of getting the school district to start to permit those, so that it's something that it's, that everybody can use, and that there's just like the fields, there's an organized way to find out who's there. You can't just send teams there, because you're doing that and softball's doing that, lacrosse is doing that, then you got 4 teams.
And then there's also
Space.
potential possibly for some small amount of revenue to maintain
Yeah, and if it was
a permanent
a
rental.
permanent, if it was something that, just like turf, you're paying
Yeah,
for
because
it.
we aren't really using it on the weekends. We can't play games like sanctioned games there or anything like that. So it's pretty, I mean, aside from like pickup, it would probably be pretty wide open on the weekends. And, we haven't, because it's brand new, basically, we didn't plan on using it for this fall beyond right now. It's like, hey, coaches, that's an option if like there aren't kids on it, basically.
Right.
We don't have any specific right to kick anybody off because of just like a coach showing up and saying,
Right.
But yeah, that's we're, like I said, wait and see approach. We've talked about it as a board. We would be interested in doing it again.
Well, no, you're not alone in that, because I think there's definitely other organizations that are interested.
Field hockey was interested in it.
And you can still play basketball on it.
Mhm.
It's still, so I think in those basketball courts, it would be.
The only thing that is like something that's not recommended, it's discouraged is rollerblades on that surface. It's
Bikes, I would imagine, anything with
bikes.
wheels.
Yeah, they don't want skateboarders on there.
I was gonna bring those back.
That would be the bad thing about.
Don't
people
let
go
them-
to
Well,
Howe and
they
ride
don't
their
want to
bikes
become
on
like
that.
deck hot, right? So that, so.
Any rules or signage installed at this location?
I know Tim was working on some, because I looked at it, but I don't know if it's up or if it's been ordered yet.
I didn't notice any when I was there last weekend, but it doesn't mean that.
It's
I don't
basic,
support
like,
things like that for it.
it is like no bikes and skateboards.
No wheels, which is similar to like the track.
Yeah. And there was a sign that was gonna be the rules of futsal, which is basically that it's not throw-ins, it's kick-ins, it's, you know, fast-paced play, you can't get the ball, goalkeepers can't get the ball past mid-court, basically.
Does anybody online have any questions for Chris?
No
No
questions.
questions. No questions. I just wanted to comment, and I think this is fabulous that you guys were able to get this done. And I do see, I do see the potential of expanding it too into other areas of Mount Lebanon. Like you said, whether that stays at like a destination point or spreading it out, spreading the love a little bit would be good.
I can see the merits both ways.
Yeah. And there is, I mean, at Jefferson alone, there's space for another similarly sized court next to it, plus the basketball courts. And then Hoover and Howe has the biggest space. When I measured it, it was like unbelievable.
That's the one when you're facing the school on the right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, the big, like caged, parking / playground.
Yeah, and I don't know, I assume during the day that that's open. Because the parking lot is on the other side by the softball fields. So I was assuming that was free, open space during the school day and that people did not park on it, but I guess I should confirm that.
It's been a long time since my kids were in house, so I can't remember. I thought they did, well,
Cause there's definitely parking on the other side of the building
Yeah.
by the baseball field.
maybe it was only used for like special event type parking or something,
Okay.
but
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't recall.
And then there's a space like in between there and the school that has a little bit of blacktop that I imagine they play just like at Hoover. There's more blacktop space between their basketball court and the back of their school. So there's a lot of different like kind of big unused spaces when you're in a community like this that's got limited places to go. I'm trying to look at this, so.
What is, Chris, when you were looking at that, what was there discussion of sport court versus like a turf surface, or
Yeah.
what were the positives, negatives, or
Cost, it really came down to, I mean,
the sport court was?
sport court was maybe a quarter or a third of what it would cost to turf even like that small area, just because of the prep work that would go into it and all that stuff. So it was, you know, initially we thought it was actually gonna be closer. But this stuff also has a 15-year warranty on it. So
Wow.
you know, if it's deteriorating because of the weather, we're covered on that front. If it's deteriorating because people are skating on it, skateboarding on it, whatever, that's not covered. But if it's just like
And for people who haven't seen it at Jefferson, I have pictures I'm happy to send out, but it's really cool. They have there's a white border. It's all mostly all royal blue, but there's a white border around the side, and then there's Lebo and like a turquoise blue on both sides. So it's like sort of decorative. And then also I would assume that you painted the curved lines on it. That there's like a yellow.
I don't know if they did that
But that doesn't, it wasn't, the Lebo is in like the shape of a tile.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a different colored tile is used to spell Lebo in like square block letters.
Yep.
But there are curved lines painted on it. So I'm assuming that if you were to install this in a larger space, you could install, just like the turf, you could have field hockey lines painted, futsal lines painted, lacrosse lines painted, you know, whatever you wanted to, whatever various sports you thought would use lines.
Who, is there anything in the agreement pertaining to maintenance, like who maintains it and?
That I don't recall. It's been a while since I looked at that agreement. We had Lisa Dorn and I were negotiating it. In terms of like day-to-day, just like maintaining, like sweeping the area, or just, you know.
I think that when we were discussing this way back, I was looking into the maintenance requirements, and I think it was just like, you know, there was a schedule for blowing leaves and debris off it, and then there might have been like an annual pressure wash or something like that, but.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
remember.
recall how that was handled offhand. I apologize, but you know, we are on the hook for the materials and you know, sort of the day-to-day. I assume the school's taking care of it, but I don't know that for sure, and I have to look back at the agreement.
Whatever it is, it's minimal.
It is.
Yeah, I think it would be I'm trying to remember that area, but I think if you don't have, there's not significant tree coverage there.
There's a few.
There's around, but I would think that would be predicate how much you have to do, because over time, well, one blowing the leaves off, but then they would leave if you left them on there, they would leave a coating that you would,
Yeah,
over a couple of years, you would probably come
It's not
split
like
or
there's
something.
oak trees like dumping tons and tons, but there's definitely some, but I think they blow off that playground
Anyway,
pretty regularly because they don't want kids to be slipping on leaves and leaves, you know, because kids, that is like one of their main playgrounds for the elementary school.
and there could be food spills and things
Mhm,
like
yeah.
that too, that you'd wanna spray off, but rain helps too.
yes, it does.
We're giving these middle schoolers ideas.
Yes, I know they're all riveted to their.
Yeah, they're all watching
They're all
this.
watching.
This is what they all talk about.
Yeah,
We gotta leaves on there, we gotta get some food out there. We
and take my
gotta
dog,
rollerblades.
take my dog out there. for a walk.
They're making a
I hate
list.
myself with the rollerblade comment, I think, it's
Yeah.
kind of stuck with
Wheels, any kind of
Don't
wheels.
laugh, I still have a pair of rollerblades. I love to rollerblade. The last time I did, I kind of, that's my knee.
All right, anybody else have any other questions? Thanks, Chris, you're
Yeah,
welcome to
glad
say if
you
you're interested, if you're
Got
not,
Get going.
you are welcome to go.
Eating dinner yet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thank
you
you,
guys
that
got
was
Got
super
it
helpful.
through.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, we're happy that it got done. We tried
Yes.
the first time.
Yes, we did, we tried.
All right, item 6, then moving on is advisory board restructuring transition planning.
Yeah, I think it's mainly at this point, we're just keeping the OneDrive site up to date. There's one more step in there prior to the handoff where we're just sharing like the most focused topics and activities. I think that's gonna be obvious, so there's really not a lot to do right now, but keep that up to date.
For item 7, parks and fields signage plan, Tom sent me a note saying that they are still waiting. Phil is still doing site visits, I think, to see where the sign should go, and they're still waiting on, I think, the township to do like a final approval or a budget or whatnot. Is there anything else you know about that?
I mean, I attended the sign sighting meeting for Main Park last week.
Okay,
So we came up with locations for Dixon, Middle, and Seymour, and the Main Park sign itself. Dixon and Middle will be on the fences as soon as you pull into the parking lot. Well, give you a little bit of time to get your bearings, and then they'll be left and right sort of mirror images. They're essentially where existing signs already are. So whoever thought this through the first time, you know, they knew what they were doing. With Seymour, just because of this strange parking situation, we're looking at either 2 signs or a double-sided sign at the road. So you can kind of be keyed in on where to enter the parking lot. And then probably 1 more on the fence. And then the Main Park sign, if you recall, there's a big brick, monument with what appears to be like painted metal lettering that says Mount Lebanon Park. And I think because because this is such a big permanent structure already, and because we have the comp plan and we're talking about all kinds of ideas, including I would love a digital sign at that location, roughly that location, for the rec department to promote events. I think we kind of agreed we're just going to clean up that sign, make it look a little nicer, and not go to the expense of adding something to that. And then we'll see where things go from there. So I did not attend any of the other park visits.
Park is the one I hope they get right.
Some of the Parks Advisory Board folks were there, as well as Phil. And I think they have that in good hands. I don't feel the need to really contribute to any of that. I did give my 2 cents to, a sign for John Dr. Field, something up above at the parking level to direct people down to the field. But aside from that, I don't think
That's
my
the field.
input is really needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't know that it's
What is this?
that it's Bird Park Soccer is John Dr. Field.
Did not know that.
See there?
Everybody knows that, but also, and no one knows, you pull in that parking lot, no one knows where to go after that.
So they know, they understand that, and they're figuring
You
that
just
out.
go down.
But where? In between what car?
Like
There's a path, but you
Gotta
gotta find the path. People park in front of the path and then you don't know where the path is.
two paths, pick one, they'll both get you there.
They'll get you there.
So that's all I have.
Okay, so it seems like they're working on it, but there's not any major updates for us.
Nothing major.
Yeah, the next one is comprehensive plan draft recommendations.
So you do have that draft in your packet.
That one is list. I'm getting so confused.
It's, I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot that's park related. I guess I would try to have you focus on the recreation slash, facility sports stuff, but, comment on anything you like, but it is rather lengthy.
It is, this came from all the people that made comments on the Ascend Levo survey. Is that where these ideas came from?
Yeah, and I'm gonna assume that some of them are just building on the, Parks Master Plan.
Okay, between those two things, they're kind of compiling that. So I would say to everyone who's here tonight and anyone who listens to this later, if you want to read through this document, because it is several pages, if you have any comments or questions, if you want to email them to me, I'm happy
good,
to
'cause I do
compile.
have
I'm
questions.
happy to compile them. That's kind of, I think, what the Parks Board was doing as well, my understanding from some emails this week. So I can compile everybody's kind of comments. I sent mine in already. Yes, send me if you have any comments or questions, and I can pass them along, because I think next week, I think is when they wanted to collect all the comments from the board. So if you want to do that in the next couple of days, I will get that off to the next, for their next step.
Okay, that'd be great.
That was my understanding, David. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's something I feel like next week or the week after.
I forget what your deadline was, but I can try to find that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy to collect those one of my questions. All right, but I don't know that there's a point for us going through that in detail tonight. You just have people read it on their own time.
Sounds good.
Let us know. All right, number 9 here, Main Parks Site Plan and Recreation Center Architectural Study.
Not a ton to report here either. Staff has met with the consultants twice now. They're really in the sort of data review stages here. They're looking at everything from number of parking stalls to, looking at the rec center in detail. They're looking at studying the man hours necessary to complete every job and maintain each facility. So there's a lot of data review and then a lot of back and forth discussion on, what we're doing, what works, what we'd like to see changed. So I feel like it's been a really good back and forth at this time, but there's nothing really formal to share yet.
Item 10 is the Brafferton Field project update.
The fencing is all complete. By the way, first, I guess backing up, once I got the schedule, I did send it out to anyone who had time on Brafferton, which I think you got that from me. The fencing is complete. There were some scheduling issues with the topsoil and seeding, so that's been pushed to October 16. But I haven't heard a single complaint since I sent the email. So as far as I know, they're still able to play and it's not disrupting anything. And then the topsoil part should really only take a matter of a few days and we should be done. So it's nearing.
And it's just the infield part. It's not the whole field.
Just the infield.
People can still work around that.
Yeah, they're gonna fence it off to keep people off the infield, but other than that, they understand that they want to continue to use other areas.
Other parts.
Yep. So far so good.
Great. Number 11 is the field study update. I finished the rough draft of the field census report, and I sent that to the 4 people on this committee that started the project to get their feedback. And then my next steps, I'm thinking we send it to the members of this board and also then the presidents of each of the associations that provided feedback for the study. And I'd like to get sort of their input and buy-in, if you will. And then take it to the school district and the municipality at the higher sort of decision-making levels. Once we get a version that everybody's sort of signed off on, and then also there's so much data, and we have a lot of data, and I tried to put it in a way that's presenting sort of the main facts, but I could have a 75-page appendix if that's what people are interested in. So before spending hours and hours and hours doing that, part of the feedback we want to get from everybody is what do they want to see, or what are they, what numbers are they looking for? What do they really want to know? And then we can dig that out and provide that in tables or charts or whatever. But we put together the data that we think kind of tells the story of what the issue is and how to solve it.
Yeah, it's a good executive summary.
Yeah, it is a summary for sure. So progress finally. And I don't know that this is the forum to kind of present that, but we definitely will send it out via email to the board members, and then possibly have like an in-person gathering of people that are interested in it between the board members and the youth group leaders. I'd like to get at least one representative from each youth organization to kind of sit down and talk about it in an in-person setting. I think would be a good place, beneficial.
You're planning to maybe document X number of bullet points within this group, give to the commission, or what's the end goal?
I think that my end goal, I think, is to have a report, and in this being at the start of it, that's definitely like the rough draft that you can give to, that would be given to the commission, the commissioners and the school board and superintendent. The question is how, I think, I don't know, you guys have seen it. Can it stand by itself, or does it need to come with an in-person explanation sort of first, and then let people take it, digest it? So.
Yeah, my concern honestly is if we just send it out, will people read it? And I say that given the role I have at work, like the amount of time and effort that goes into reporting that is requested and then never looked at. So
I think you definitely followed up with an in-person meeting with people in the municipality to try to get everybody's buy-in to take the next step.
And answer questions and address any concerns. Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, we need a group of people to take the next steps and actually do them. Because it's going to be driven by, as this board sort of dissolves, it's going to be driven by people who want to start their own, start their own kind of advisory board to get this rolling. To work on starting to knock off some of the improvements we recommend and projects we want to see happen. So there's still work to be done definitely after this, but I think if we're all agreeing to sort of that there is an issue and here's what we want to see happen, then we can keep moving forward with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think another group that's really focused exclusively on sports related things is fine. But I think the Parks and Rec board could help champion some of your projects and goals as well.
And meaning the new one is called Parks and Rec.
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what our thought was part of this, when you see it, is that there's a group, a sort of a sports partnership group, and one of those, somebody from that board, and it would be made up of people for now, at least, that have sports that use fields.
Yeah.
And eventually it would conclude like all sports, whether it's a pool or a hockey rink or whatever your facility is. But I think that a person from that could feed into the parks, should be sitting on the Parks and Rec board along with tennis and some of these other golf, tennis, platform, the pool.
Well,
one person could cover all fields, where this one had lots of people from fields. One person from that group could sit on that board for the municipality.
Yeah, one or more people from this board will likely be sitting on the new board. So,
but you're kind of getting the coverage for like everybody who uses a field is already kind of on this, hopefully on the same page about what they think and agree to and want to see happen. But then you don't want to ignore the golf, tennis, the golf, the things that are not included in the, just like this group has always done. It's got people from the various areas. So that, and it's kind of working out well with the time.
Yeah.
By the time we get our information shared with everyone, this board will start to dissolve and figure that out. So does anybody online have any questions about that? So look for that.
No
questions.
No questions, but I do like the idea of you getting a representative from each youth association and presenting it and building that coalition, just like you said. I think that's going to be really important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we do, and maybe we do that in-person thing first, and then let people kind of walk away with a report and digest it and share it with their organizations. But invite them to a presentation somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to try to like book this room for you or something, we could do it here.
Yeah. I think that would be a good start once we get a good. I'd like to get some feedback from kind of start with a small group, and then work our way up to the bigger.
I don't know, Davis, you might need some adult beverages.
Well, and if that's your preference,
Yes, we just screen at the Battos, or I don't know, something saloon somewhere.
Whatever helps deliver the message. or gets participation.
Yeah,
there you go. There you go.
I think it's one of those things so many people obviously care about, and if you're running a youth organization in this community, you're obviously with using fields that you have frustrations about the situation. So I would like to think that people would be interested in cooperate. They were very cooperative with doing the study.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that would continue. But it would be nice to go to the school board and to the municipality saying all of these organizations are in
concert
with what this document is asking, what we want to do. So that's it for the field study. Next is new business. Does anybody have anything on the new business front?
Here.
The only thing I have is at some point the scoreboards, there's 3 scoreboards at the Cedar Fields, Dixon Middle, and Seymour. And they've had some issues over the past few years. And this year, I think we've got them sorted out moving forward. But the question came up of replacing the middle scoreboard, which is most accessible for rectangular sports that would use that, with the possibility of would there be any value from those groups to having a scoreboard. There's not that much variety in scoreboards, honestly, even though those are, I don't know, 15 years old or whatever, there's nothing that new, right? But there could be, in terms of that scoreboard, something that would have a clock on it, or something that would be more geared, have some additional features like a clock or something like that would be geared towards rectangular sports. So in the future, probably next year sometimes, to look at, is there enough buy-in to replace that with something like that?
Okay. Well,
I think we have
who's playing games there, like official games, because there's definitely.
But maybe a good
Whitfield soccer.
good thing to include in the field study.
Yeah.
As well, like what when you're looking at just use of the fields, but also like and I think that was part of the study as well.
Yeah.
If I recall, like what's at the field, what do you need at the field to do what you need to do at the field?
I have a section in there about sort of other amenities that are needed at some of these fields,
Other
whether
amenities.
it's bathrooms, scoreboards, seating.
Yeah.
It's not just the field surface itself.
So that was just something that came up as we were.
And I have it at the upper
preparing.
practice field, but I didn't mention it. I don't even know that I have to go look and see like where the scoreboard is at middle. That's how.
So it's in left field of middle baseball field. So
okay.
it's on the
So I've walked
side.
past it like 1,000 times, just not paying attention.
So it's viewable from the sidewalk on Cedar and the far end of
but it's
Vantage
just
and-
score, no clock, obviously, because it was
it's geared towards baseball, softball, so it's home visitors, it's inning, outs, ball strikes.
Okay.
So we'll have to have all that plus more.
Yeah, plus at the minimum, some type of clock the ability to have a clock.
And then there's
And then
another
probably
one
there's
closer to Seymour that the high school uses for their games, or is there
Yeah,
just one scoreboard?
It's on an angle that faces the third base dugout of Seymour, but it's on the first base, it's on the path side.
Okay.
These are powered too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could even
Remote
do a
control.
digital. Potentially a digital
'Cause I think
format.
there's definitely middle school field hockey games being played there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about.
Yeah, so it would be,
And
you know,
maybe
be a nice
an
upgrade.
occasional
probably.
middle school soccer game might get there, but usually not. So, but there's,
You're disappointing me that there's not that many games there.
well,
For the rec fan, maybe there's probably more than what we're talking about.
there could be. I'm talking more like official, like games. There are other games played there, I think, but like, I mean, soccer definitely uses it for
Sure, but
travel, like
it's gonna be like
youth level.
four games at a time, which it may not be of any value
Right.
to use a scoreboard. So,
Well, there's the travel soccer that plays there uses just the one big field, but it's youth soccer where like
But you know, some out of the
Don't-
box uses of something like that would be with soccer or tackle football, where I know that they put multiple groups at a time on there, whether it's mini games or it's practice. If you had a clock function like that, you could coordinate those groups using the clock function, especially like with a practice.
Mhm.
You know, you could have you know, a countdown for whatever
You're doing.
stations you're doing
Yeah.
or various things. So I mean, there might be some value in that as well that people aren't necessarily thinking about.
right.
how to use it. So-
Well, and even when the field's divided, so field hockey, because I know it, when we have the youngest players down there and you're playing 3 on that field. If you had the format on a digital screen where you literally could have 3 different scoreboards going at a time. For
Sure,
those.
that would be a big upgrade, yeah. I don't know what any of this costs,
Yeah.
but putting it out there under new business,
As
that
a.
we could talk about in the future.
I will, I'll see if I can find out, so
Again, trying to create more value.
Cisco makes digital. we do stadium digital. Yeah, signage. I can,
Well, that's something
can
where you
find
can
out.
try to find a sponsorship or a partnership
Yes, we
to
could.
get somebody to.
yes, we
To do
could.
that.
Yep.
Keep in mind, though, if there's gonna be any sponsorship, yeah, it's gonna have to get approved. So.
Yeah. But we can open ourselves up to the idea of using a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You'd have to buy a bus to put the sign up. Driving around town.
All right, any other new business? Last call, new business. All right, any announcements? Other than our next meeting is November 2nd. And that will be our last meeting of 2023. And there's 3 meetings scheduled for 2024. So we're down to the last 4 meetings.
Mm-hmm. And I will remember that it's on
The
Thursday.
people on the board that are carryovers. Is that March 7th or is it through the end of the year? Well, like we carried over, like I'm technically one of those people that. The transition until the new group, so that would be March 7th, is that correct?
Anyone expiring, like their term expiring in 2024, it would already have expired, like it would normally expire March 31st.
Okay,
So if your term expires in March, you're good through the end of our meeting schedule.
So yeah, so everybody that's in the group now goes through March 7th, and then a
That's-
subset of those people will continue.
There's a subset of people that will be eligible, anyone that whose term expired, I think, beyond that, which is probably only 20-25 people, I think. So they would be eligible. They're not like it's not a guarantee, but it seems.
Do we want to, maybe at one of those next few meetings, maybe the January one, think about telling everybody where they stand, or does I don't know.
That's actually all in that transitional document, and this will entice you all to go
To go
to
in and
the
look at it, so
SharePoint
we-
site
where
and
we
look
fall.
at that.
And
I've looked
read
at it, I
it
just
more
can't remember what
thoroughly.
it said.
I haven't looked at it. So maybe I should do that, figure out where my name is.
I've also, that document is in one of the packets I sent you too, or I could just send it to you again.
How about the
I
link?
was able to get to the SharePoint.
The link to the SharePoint thing, sure.
Yeah,
Send
we'll
that to
send
me.
that out.
Send that.
I'll look at it,
I'll-
David.
I'll
Send you the
bookmark
link.
it.
Try. All right, anything else? And any other announcements, David, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay, so then we will adjourn early at 8:54
Wow.
PM.
All right.
Sit through, yeah, but
Very
please do
nice.
follow up on this,
Good.
comprehensive
I have
plan
questions
feedback.
already.
That is, we didn't spend a
Yeah,
lot of time
it's,
reading through that.
Did we adjourn?
Yeah.